Welcome back to the House of Legends podcast. Oh my gosh, we have an amazing legend coming back to the house. Elizabeth. Elizabeth, right away, I know our listeners, they already know you from last year, but if you can introduce
Mhm.
yourself real quick and we're gonna dive into goals, but not any kind of goals. Those actually we're gonna go deeper in this topic, and you will start setting non-realistic goals. So, all right,
Yes.
Elizabeth, take it over, please.
All right. I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so grateful for our connection, Graciela. And to introduce myself, I'm Elizabeth. My brand is Happy, Healthy, and Hot. I am a 58-year-old double certified health and weight loss coach, author, and creator. That's truly
Hmm.
what I consider. That's what I love to do is create content, whether it's, in the form of books, courses, and just this content that does it entertains, it educates, and my goal is really to inspire. I post a lot of content about health, nutrition, fitness, weight loss, because that's what people have always asked me for. But I feel the message is so much bigger than that. I say you can love your body and your life at any age and wear whatever you damn well please. But it's really, I start with the health, I lead with that, partly because that's what people want and because I'm super confident in my body, but
Yeah.
also because, and I know that you understand this, when we feel good in our bodies, when we take control of our health,
Mm.
when we feel strong, confident, energized physically, that carries over into every single thing that we do.
Oh,
And, I talk a lot, people, I'm showing off my abs all the time, and people, but I talk about having a strong core because I feel when you build your core physically, when you have that strong physical core, that you are strong at your core. You are strong yet flexible. You're able to withstand the things that come at us with, grace. And you have this strength, this presence. It affects the way, when you're strong physically in your core, it affects the way you enter the room.
yeah.
And that just affects everything. It's literally what you're putting out into the world. So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate. It's not that I really care about, it's not the number on the scale.
Uh,
It's like, how do you feel in your body? Because that's going to just affect everything else that you're doing.
yeah. And I have to add something, Elizabeth, because you didn't mention this, and I have to mention this for all beautiful listeners, and especially this first month of the year, January. All right. When I see you, and you mentioned that you're, of course, you have your certifications, you are doing amazing content. That, by the way, I mean, I see that body, and I'm a woman, and I'm just like, wow, oh my gosh, I want that, right? But I have to confess, like, damn it, I feel
Thank
bloated.
you.
But you are building an empire. You already have an empire, but you're building a new movement. And I think this movement is one of the most powerful ones because right here you are literally erasing age, erasing paradigms, erasing all beliefs that we've been listening as a woman that, well, at a certain age you have, well, the metabolism goes back, or all that crap that someone thought, because
Yeah.
all the beliefs that are here is because someone thought those thoughts. Like a belief is just
Yes. Yes.
a thought. But when I see you going back to your empire, it's like you're not just giving education and of course showing the product which is you, but you're also, like I said, changing the whole paradigm in a big way. And I have to highlight
Mhm.
this so much because sometimes we see women doing amazing things and we think that, oh, I don't want to share my stories. I don't want to talk about her because she's gonna take about my audience. So I don't know the fuck. But in my case, it's like I see someone is like, let's do it, let's invite it, let's put her there. I mean, because she has something and she's not taking nothing out of me. Actually, she's expanding my life.
Mhm.
She can do it. I can do it too.
Well, and that's the whole idea. And, for me, like, I'm very comfortable with my body. Clearly, I have a lot of body confidence. But my message is when I say it's time to tell a new story about aging, it's really this whole idea that we get to decide what that story is. I have a dear friend. I mean, I've known this woman for over 20 years, who
Yeah.
she's now, I think, 61.
Mm.
She, after dealing with breast cancer, not once, not twice, but 3 times, she is
Yeah.
now traveling the country as this badass nature photographer with the support of, she has the most amazing family who is cheering her on. But this whole idea that instead of saying, oh, I'm in my 60s, I'm just going to sit at home and knit or whatever, which is actually, she used to do a lot of that. She's so creative and so artistic, and she keeps challenging herself, not just with her art, but with what she's doing with her life.
Mm.
Another woman that I've known for years, who's around my age, who started this amazing book club where they travel and they have experiences related to the books that they're reading,
Wow.
and really expand horizons. And now she wants to expand this, not just her book club, but inspire others to do the same. So this idea, we get to decide what our lives look like. But so many people are telling these stories of what aging looks like. You're supposed to cover up, shrink back, be quiet, and that you're going to put on weight. Your body's never going to be the same. My body isn't the same. It's better. I
Like,
have more
I
muscle
love that.
5
I
years
love
ago.
that. I just
So
love
you're right. Your
that.
body's never going to be the same. It can be better.
Oh God, I just love that so much. You have to put that as a quote or going live or doing something with that. Yeah,
Yes, I'm going to write that. Yeah.
I'm not the same. It's better. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Sandwich here, but yeah. And this is the kind of examine that we need. And actually, we want. Well, I don't like the use the word need, but another thing as well. And this going back to our topic of this podcast, it's in order to have that kind of drive and going for the things and even changing this whole paradigm, uh, I would love to know what was your thought process when you said, I don't, we can call it goals or intentions of moving forward. What was your first thought of you saying, you know what? Pocket, I want something bigger. I want to create something amazing for many women, books, classes, programs. What was that thing that moved you to removing yourself totally? Because I don't even think I know that you're not realistic as well as me. We don't say that
Yeah.
shit. Like we
We
want
don't,
to,
right. Exactly. So,
yeah.
so I don't do realistic. I have little catchphrases that I use in my brand, but also just with myself. And that didn't really come to me till 2020. It was very specific. So I'll explain. So I had already started this business. I did have this idea. I started my website, like my first blog post was November of 2015. So we're going, 9 years.
Yeah.
And then I came on Instagram several months after that. And so I had this idea that I wanted to do some affiliate marketing and do a little bit of health coaching. And, it was realistic. And I mean, I had never built a website, I'd never done any of these things. And so as I did some things and started learning and putting myself out there, yes, that's all very empowering. Um, it was in 2020 when I followed this nudge. It was definitely an impulse, but felt good to enter the Maxim CoverGirl competition for the first time. And that was when I was 53. And then I did it again in 2024. I just went for it. I entered, and then I thought, like, I wasn't sure if I'd even be accepted. Well, a couple days later, I get this email saying that I've been accepted. And of course, all the doubt flooded in. What are people going to say? What are people going to think? All of these things. And I just decided I was going to go for this. And I started taking steps, and I started getting really creative and really fun photo shoots and really stepped outside of my comfort zone in the best possible way. But I just realized there was nothing, it just came out like of my mouth one day. I think when I was live on Instagram, I said, I know it's not realistic for a 53-year-old woman to be on the cover of Maxim, but I don't do realistic.
Mm.
And it just, again, it was one of those things that just came out of my mouth, and I realized, oh, this is about much more than Maxim CoverGirl. Although that was a big thing for me, it activated me is the word that I would use. It showed me something bigger. It showed me what I had inside. It taught me to be bold. It taught me, to deal with some resentment that I had when people weren't supportive, and just to realize I had to just get over it
Let it
and
go.
move on and process it. But I realized then that I don't do realistic could just be a way to look at life. And, it's I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot, but we get to decide what our life looks like. We get to create this reality. And it's not about control, because clearly we can't control all these
The
things
out.
going on around us. But when we are in control of who we are, and we're aware of this vision that we have, it's
Mhm.
going to affect the way the rest of the world is responding to us. And
Yeah.
it's a really exciting way to look at life.
Yeah, and I love the fact that in the way that you mention it, because goals they must to excite you. I mean, because
Yeah.
when we set realistic goals, it's like, well, if I achieve that, it will be great. But if you can see it, even in the way that we are talking, it doesn't resonate. It's like weak. It's like I'm gonna put an example here. I was sharing this the other day in one of the masterminds. We were like, oh, them. It's like a man. This is coming from the mastermind, which is for another thing, but not
Yeah.
really here. But we were saying like if your energy is off, it's like a man he's like about to do something great with you, and you're like so excited, and he's off. I mean, you can notice right away that he's off, and it's like, damn it. I mean, you can like be really aroused, excited, but if the energy is off, it's like, no, man.
Okay, this is exactly so funny, because I just said this the other day. Again, it was one of those things that just came out of my mouth, and I turned it into a reels, but I said, do your goals turn you on? Because like
Oh,
I'm turned on by my life. Like I'm turned on by this vision that I have for
mhm.
my life. Like it literally turns me on. So I think when you have a goal that is just based on a number or something, I mean, that's probably not going to turn you on. Or
Yeah,
you have a lot of us set goals based on what we kind of think we should
can
be doing,
accomplish.
or what our
Yeah,
life should look like. And when you tap into this whole vision of what you're creating, that is so much more than a number, like a number in your bank account, or the number on the scale, or whatever. When it's like who you're becoming, you are turned on by that. You are inspired by that. And that's also where then you get to this point where what the rest of the world is doing, or the way they're reacting to you, it doesn't even matter, because like you're so tapped in to what you're creating for yourself. And it's not selfish. It's just being
yeah, it's not.
so true to yourself, which is the best thing you can do. And I used to share a lot of quotes from other people, and I don't do much of that anymore, because I'm turned on by my own
By
vision. But
yourself. Yeah,
yes, but there's a quote that I love from Wallace Wattles. It goes back to like the 1920s, the book,
I
The
know.
Science of Getting Rich,
It
which I think is much better than Think and Grow Rich, just my own personal
is.
opinion.
It is.
But he said, the best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is
And
funny.
that that is a quote that it has stuck with me. I've listened to that book on audio a number of times. I'll read it and reread it. If you can get past some of the outdated language and references, there is so much wisdom in that book. And I always go back to that, it's all about making the most of yourself. And that's really the best thing you can do for everybody.
Yeah, because if we don't put ourselves first, if we think that is selfish or whatever, we can give to others, but it's gonna be from resentment. It's gonna be from a empty cup. When we act from
Yeah.
that, we can go, but it's gonna be we. could last to a certain stance, and at one point we want to feel like we want to stop. First of all, we want to feel really bad, we want to explode, and that is not the best thing, the best scenario for us. One
Yeah.
thing that I will love as well to highlight here, Elizabeth, is when you were saying about the cover, the this beautiful magazine cover. That
Yeah.
was one of the things that I think it was given to you. Like, and actually, one of the things that as well, when we have an idea, when we have a desire, and this applies for every single one of us that, or you ladies that listen to the podcast, if you have an intention or goal regarding your health, sometimes sometimes the measurements are not the ones that are going to help you, like going and weigh yourself or like looking at the mirror every single time. It's actually, like you said, Elizabeth, it's going back to how you feel and just getting better and better.
Yes. Yes. And I share that a lot with clients because they'll be so for, I want to lose 15 pounds or whatever. I'm like, okay, great. We can do that. Let's tap into what is that going to feel like? How are
Mm,
you going to feel getting up in the morning? What does your body feel like? Like, do you strong, light? Like, what are the words to describe how you feel? Really to tap into that feeling and that vision. And that's what keeps you inspired. That's what keeps you going because, those first of all, we both know the number on the scale is
doesn't
going to
matter.
fluctuate.
Yeah,
Even when somebody is on a steady weight loss journey, and that's another thing I teach them is that when you are looking at that it's simply information and feedback. And like I just to anybody listening who is struggling with this, like I personally weigh myself every day and it shows me that these are just numbers because I weighed 2 pounds more yesterday than I do today. I knew it just had to do with something I'd eaten, whatever it wasn't. I was probably holding on to some water. I didn't let that bother me one bit, but it's just, you can see if you do weigh yourself regularly, you can see it's simply information, it's simply feedback. It's a number. We can completely take the emotion out of it and instead
that is,
put our emotion into the feeling because it didn't matter what the number was on the scale. I felt amazing yesterday and I feel amazing today. I
oh,
feel strong and confident. I feel like I have energy, steady energy that can go and go. I know I'm going to sleep well tonight. Like I feel good. So that's how I feel. And that has nothing to do with that number on the scale.
and I think that the thing that I include myself in the past, what I used to do is, I was using the scale, and I was just, the scale was the dictator of how I was feeling. Like I'm telling you,
That's what happens.
when we entangle emotions, don't use that as a measurement. You can use how you feel, how your clothes
Right.
are now looking at you, so many things. But it's just
Right.
understanding and becoming aware that those are tools, but the most important part is how you feel with the progress, and understand that for everything is a process. But you mentioned as
Yeah.
well one of the key words, and is having a vision. Sometimes, Elizabeth, we don't have a clear vision, and I'm not saying, sometimes we get even overwhelmed because most of the people in most on the self-development industry, you have to have a 10-year, 5-year, 20-year, 100-year,
Yeah.
20,000 years vision. No, you can do it for six
Yeah.
months because you're gonna grow so much, and then you can reevaluate. But it's
Yes, in fact, I think
really,
3 and 6 months is a great time frame because there's so much happening where you are 6 months from now, and then you regroup and you say, wow, like this is better
yeah.
than I thought. Where am I going from here?
Yeah, and I just flashed. It came like a flash right now, and we want to continue this. I'm not gonna divagate, I promise you. But even our first conversation is so different from this one. Yeah,
Wait, what's that?
even our first conversation,
Yes,
it's so different from this one. Like even that, like,
yes, yes,
yeah. So
yes, you're right.
we have to understand that when, and going back to the vision, when we operate with a clear picture, it's actually, we can set goals that are aligned with that picture, and we can say no with totally confidence to the things that are not aligned in people and situations, because sometimes we said yes, 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 but it's not in alignment with where you're going. And right there,
Yes.
instead of helping other people, you're making yourself a disservice, because the right people that
Yes.
are in alignment with that vision, they cannot find you because you're not available.
Mhm. I think that was such a good point. And first of all, I have found that every time I've said no to something that did not feel aligned,
Yeah.
but maybe I've had that little, oh, should I have done that? No, something so much better has happened. And I use something that I've used because I feel like I'm at this point where I don't have to make decisions. I know what I know what to do.
Yeah.
And but something that I will use is, how does this feel in my body? So does
Mhm.
this feel expansive or restrictive?
Practice.
I
Yeah.
received so many offers for, I could have all types of sponsorships and free products and affiliate deals that I turned down because they do not feel aligned. And I
Mm.
know that it's going to feel restrictive to me to have to be creating content. Could be a great product, but it doesn't feel real to me. People that are in my world know that when I talk, so now people who are in my world know that when I do choose to talk about a product, it's because I love it so much that I can't stop talking about it. So, but it would feel so restrictive to me if I had these obligations that I had to do this and that. I mean, I remember at one point, this was also back in 2020, probably right around that time that I started, right before I started running for Maximum Cover Girl, that I was offered it was a business offer
Yeah.
to help somebody that would have truly helped me out financially. And I could have used it. But I knew that working with this person would feel restrictive. Even though they were great, I knew it would feel restrictive to me and it would keep me from doing the creative work that I love, the content creation that I love. And I turned it down, and I had a friend say like, "Oh, are you sure? Like that you know," and I said, "No, I'm 100% sure because I know how it feels in my body."
Mm. Yes. And I think, like you mentioned, or we know what is right. We know.
Yes.
It's the first, like, we know. And our mind sometimes try to convince us to put in, like, it could be right for you because the money, or because of this opportunity, or because whatever, but you know. And
Yeah.
while you were sharing that, and I have to just say it here because it will be really easy, just after the recording, I can share my thoughts. When you were mentioning about like brands, and yeah, I mean, we're online, people from offering jewelry, or like clothing, or like supplements,
Mhm.
they just can reach you out and like, hey, I see your page, you will be an amazing affiliated, you name it, or I don't know how they call it.
Right.
um I think they call it associates or something like that. But
Mhm.
while you were sharing that, I did have this like thought, it was like a thought, image, you name it. You, either you being that is going to be the one that is going to give that opportunities to others, because your brand is going to grow so much that you're going to be that,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That woman that
I
helps
love that.
others, or really having a big association, but like a really, really global brand.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
feel, and I think all the things, all the process that you're creating, like I said, your empire is already here. But I think the development and all the things that you're showing up are just preparing you for something that I just feel that is here for you. And it's not something,
Mhm.
and it's something that is going to put your name not only in this continent but in all the continents. I just feel
I
that, and
love that.
share right here.
I love this. Thank you for
I was
sharing that.
like, it was like a huge thing. It was like, either she's gonna give the opportunities to others to like a feel,
Mhm.
be associate, or she's gonna be in a
Yes.
really global brand.
Yeah. And I'm open to all of that. So I love it. Love it. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, and like I said before, and during this conversation as well, it's when we see someone, just say that. If you have a thought, and encourage
Mhm.
thought, something like this woman inspire you, just tell her. If she accepted, amazing.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, you're kind of weird. Wow, you already say it. She can think
Yeah.
this. But one of
I
the things,
try to do that so much, like just let people know how they've helped me or that I appreciate them,
Yeah.
even if it's just sending somebody a random voice note or a text. Because people don't always realize the impact that they're having on our lives.
Because you care. And you as well mentioned another important, and if you listen to this podcast, you're gonna listen, and I'm remarking some phrases like this is a key, this is something that I want to highlight, but this is another key.
Mhm.
You mentioned when you're ready to receive, because sometimes we can see so much potential. I can tell you so many things about you, but it's just like, she want to try, she wants something from me, or but it's actually not, or we have so many,
Yes.
sometimes we have so many thoughts of so many things that will happen, experiences, or you name it, that we don't ready to receive even a compliment, or even like a big idea, because it's like, she doesn't know
Oh,
my question, but we have to be open to receive that. I think that when, if you want to step, if you want to remove yourself from the linear, realistic goals, you have to be ready also to
yes.
receive that fucking huge goal, because it's gonna feel like oh my god, this is
I
for me.
love that you said, yes, I love that you said that. And I know that there were many years that I was not ready to receive.
Mm,
And a lot of it, and I see this too with women that I work with. I think so much of it does come down to self-worth somewhere where we just feel, who am I to have all of this? Or, who am I? Well, this is okay. Like, it's that whole idea, if this area of our life is good, well then, like, if we have a good career, then we can't also have a good relationship, or just different things. It's we feel not worthy somehow, or we're not good enough, or this imposter syndrome. And that's, I think, the more we can kind of separate, connect with ourselves, and
yes.
not get so caught up in what's going on around us, we become more receptive to to receiving from others, also to receiving just inspiration, to listening to our own voice. And I mean, I get my ideas for my content.
Mm,
I'm quiet for hours in the morning. I get up, I go for a quiet walk. Like, I don't look at social media. I don't look at anything. I'm tuned into myself, just to
yeah.
myself, to the outdoors. And that's where all the inspiration comes from. So it's also, I think, we become more receptive when we do set some gentle boundaries with the rest of the world, that we are, as you said, that we are filling ourselves up first.
Yeah, yeah, that is so important, because it could be so easy to like you mentioned, waking up and just going direct to social media. And there will be times, because sometimes, because maybe you have a call with a mentor, you name it, or with a client, but
Yeah.
aside of that, you have to get quiet. And I think when we start working in ourselves, this could be another whole episode or topic, but it's when we acknowledge, like you mentioned, this, why it's so hard for me to receive even a compliment, or why it's so hard for me to charge whatever amount, why I'm charging this, if I truly know that my experience and what I know can move this woman from this. And from there you can go back, and you could just listen to your own thoughts, and the thoughts, the subconscious speaking, that is like all the thoughts that come to you, like, oh, because this, because of that, because you have to work harder, because you don't have, you're too young, you're too old, you're too this, you're too that. Oh, okay, no wonder I do have so many things that are actually blocking me, and I can work one by one. And when we
Yeah.
understand those are only thoughts, those are only things that we've been thinking, we can start working in that. And when we do that, guess what? We can show up. And I'm not going to say that in 1 second, in 1 week, even it's the same thing for every single journey. It's going to happen, but we'll little by little, I think on becoming who we think we were, and stepping into the woman that we know that we are. And if you want to charge
Mhm.
this, if you want to do this, if you want to only do masterminds, if you only want to do books, you own that. You will own that, and the
Yeah.
right people will come.
Will come. Yes, exactly. Exactly. There's no blueprint of how we need to build our businesses or our lives or anything, we get to decide that. I love that. I love that you said that, because I think so many people look at someone else who's successful and think, oh, well, she has the podcast and the courses and this, that, or the other thing. I need to do it that way. Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
No, because it's not going to work out. And it's the same thing. It's like, and you put this perfect example going back to the fitness as well. And it's like when we don't have a professional, and this could apply for every single area. Even if you want to get a haircut, if you want to put yourself in shape, you don't want to go and just like, hey, I want that. I want the same meal plan. I want the same workouts. You can go and
Yeah.
see the magazine, amazing, but it's not going to work out for you. It has to be customized.
Right.
It has to be
Right.
customized. Even if you go to do your hair, like they need to know if you already put something in your hair before. So many things, like even for to get the right
Right.
color.
Right. There's so many factors. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and sometimes
Exactly.
we see other people like, oh, they did it that way. It has to be that way. But if it doesn't feel right, and we have to understand, and you give this amazing example on going back to your body. What feels expansive, because sometimes we feel kind of like, oh, I don't know, it's gonna be stretchy, it's money, whatever, right? But it feels
Yeah.
exciting. That is for you. But it feels like, well, it's a lot of money, it feels like icky, and aside of that, it feels so contracted. It's not for you. So we also have to
Right.
have this discernment about what is really true intuition, what is, and what feels right, but it feels kind of scary at the same time, and what feels like totally wrong and fearful because
Yes.
it's not for you.
Yes. And you're right. So we can feel a little scared. It's,
Yeah.
because we're excited. But we also know when something is just ick and off and not for us.
Yeah, yes. And I also I want to bring back the examples that you provide us about, like having people reaching out to you, like, hey, represent this brand, represent maybe the clothing or the supplement,
Mhm.
or you name it. Because this also, I think when we make an association with something like that, at the long, it could work for a couple of months, but in the long run, it's gonna we're gonna move from the plan that God, universal source, actually is giving us to us.
Yeah.
So we have to be really,
Yes.
really, we have to use discernment. I think for every single thing, but use discernment, but at the same time, don't overthink it. Just like,
Right. Don't overthink. It's yes, overthinking. Take some action. Use your discernment. Listen to your body. How does this feel like? Listen to your gut, your heart, but also take action, because overthinking, I mean, and I see this all the time, and it's certainly in health and fitness. People are so busy gathering information, trying to figure out the perfect plan. And in the meantime, they're not doing anything.
yeah,
And I'm like, just start, like, it's better to go out for a walk than to sit and watch TV and eat ice cream. So go out for the walk. They people, it turns into this, it's just another form of procrastination, just all this information gathering when you could be taking action and actually making something happen. And action always leads to more clarity.
oh yeah,
When you
It-
start taking action for something,
yeah,
then you know what the next step is.
yeah, even if there's that we take action, if we don't get the result that we want, or something is not working in the way that we want, we can redirect. Actually, it's always a win-win situation. And I would love to ask you this, Elizabeth, because I know
Yeah.
many of our listeners will say, you know what, it's January, I want to go all in with my health, because that is a vibe. That is the vibe.
Oh,
And
it's a vibe for sure.
it is a vibe for sure. But when it comes to setting a goal, a unrealistic goal, or let's put it a goal that really it's ring your bells, something that really excites you. How
Mhm.
you can, it has to be a balance as well, because sometimes we say like, I want this and I'm all in, and results are not coming that fast. You see results, but not in the
Yeah.
way that the mind or the ego wants you to have, right? So how you
Mhm.
live with that, how you walk during this process, and understanding that it's working, how you, I will say, prep yourself, how do you, or what do you do on your daily basis to, not, I don't use the word motivation. I think motivation is like a
No.
out because
Inspiration.
inspiration, because the pre-workout, and you know this, I don't use pre-workout, but anyway, I used to
Yeah.
use pre-workout. At least you can just feel the pump, but after that, it's gonna just fade
Yeah.
out, right?
It
So
just fades. Yeah, I don't use it. I don't use it either. So I think what you brought up is great. I don't believe motivation is fleeting. So what I would say to anybody, since they're listening, it's January and this is when people are setting these big health goals. First of all, to get really clear, like, does your goal turn you on? So
mm,
it's not,
yeah,
it's got to be more than a number. It's not just lose 20 pounds. It's like, how fabulous are you going to feel? How amazing, how strong, how confident, how energetic. Really get clear on what this looks like to you, what this feels like. And then, I believe motivation, I mean, it kind of lights a fire under our ass, so to speak. It might get us up moving, but it's always fleeting. That fire burns out. So I rely on two things. One is inspiration, being inspired, being turned on by that goal. But the other is the vision. The other is consistency, knowing that it's the small actions done consistently that are going to compound over time.
yeah,
And also knowing that there needs to be some flexibility there. So when somebody comes up with some really rigid, in January, there's lots of rigid plans, do this for this 6-week bikini body program. Okay, none of that stuff works. First of all, nobody ever even sticks to it for 6 weeks because something happens, life happens, and they don't eat that exact meal that they were told to eat, or they can't get to the gym for their second workout that day or whatever. So to have more of a loose structure, to
yeah.
have it's a way you live your life. You
Mm,
know you're going to be moving your body. You know the way like I always say, prioritize protein and produce, which is just a template for how to eat. It's not a rigid
plan.
structure. So, because what happens is life happens, and we need to have this, we have this strength to keep going, but
Mhm.
this resiliency that we can roll with the punches a little bit. I mean, I've worked with clients when I've worked with people long term, we've seen things like the death of a parent,
Mm,
some family drama, things happening at their job, working long hours, and it's really, and when you, and they've gotten through all of that. And no, as we know, weight loss is never linear, just like anything else. But they've, they're not tied to, the scale is not impacting their emotions. They know what to do. So they're making this work because they're, again, so turned on by this vision of who they're becoming. And then what's so exciting for me is, even though people come to me for the weight loss stuff, I've seen all these amazing things. I've seen new relationships from people who said they were never ever going to date again and have amazing relationships. I've seen job promotions, business opportunities, people wearing the dress that you never, that you didn't think you'd ever wear, and you feel amazing. So I see people, it becomes so much more about the number on the scale. It's like who they become.
yeah.
And it's really exciting because it always ends up being so much more than
Mm,
losing the weight. Like they lose the weight and they can't believe how strong they feel. They can't believe what a great mood they're in. It's it's bubbling over. Their enthusiasm is bubbling over. And now their sister is joining, is on a journey as well because she was inspired. It's just really exciting to see how it has this ripple effect on all these other parts of their lives.
yeah, and I think when we come from that place, like you said, is when we don't need the external motivation. We don't need the instant gratification in order to know that we are already there. And that is when the
Yes.
habits are becoming effortless. I'm not gonna say that everything is just flowers and it's easy all the time, but it's no longer coming from a force. It's no longer coming from I need to change in order to get. Actually, I'm
Right.
changing because I love myself. I know this part of the process, and I give myself grace. And those days when things happen, like you said, if
Yeah.
I don't do this perfect thing, I can just readjust some things, and I think that is so magical. I think this episode.
Oh, I love, yes, I want to say too about inspiration and motivation. I feel like motivation comes from a place of not liking ourselves a lot. Like we feel like I'm
Mm.
really unhappy and I need to fix this. Where inspiration is, I'm so excited about where I'm going and who I'm becoming. And that is so much more powerful. I also really want to quickly share a series of affirmations that I use, and I've shared these on social media. I share them with clients. Um, because I think it's
Okay.
so,
I found this on the web
oh my
for a
goodness.
series of affirmations that I use, and I share these in social media. I share them with clients. Check it out.
Siri, my computer just started talking to me. Excuse me.
Oh, it's all good.
Um, I don't know what it just happened there. Anyway, um, so I think it's so important to celebrate these little wins along the way. And I have a series of affirmations that I use and that I've shared. I think it's really fun. So when you see, and we'll use again weight loss as an example, since that's what people always want to talk to me about. Um, say somebody has this goal of 10 pounds that they'd like to lose, to start celebrating every little win, like just waking up feeling more energized, feeling like, wow, you ate really well that day and you feel nourished. Nothing is, you stuck to your plan, you're proud of yourself, but you also feel really good in your body. All these little things, and it can be certainly you notice the scale moving. That's great too. For each of these little things that you notice, there could be multiple things throughout the day. It's happening. It's happening. You celebrate. This is happening. And then I always immediately say, and I use this myself with everything, immediately, thank you more, please. I am so grateful for what's happening. Show me more of this. I want more. And then the last thing I always add is, it's already mine. It's
Oh
already
my
mine
God.
because it is. It's already mine.
Those are so powerful. And ladies, if you when you listen to this, take note because those are really powerful. And when we compliment ourselves, we start, aside of accomplishing the goals as well, we start building this strong relationship with ourselves when we trust, when we know that we got ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
so powerful.
Yeah. So just that celebrating these all these little signs along the way that this is happening for us, and that immediate, I just love to use the thank you more please, like
Oh.
grateful. We can be grateful and still want more, because I feel as women, that is, and maybe this is, sometimes this is what keeps us small. We're told, well, be grateful for what you have, and we think, who am I to want more?
Hmm.
You can be grateful and want more.
Yeah, I remember one phrase that I think a woman, she's called Melanie. She said, "There's always one foot on gratitude and the other one on
In
this
desire.
barrier." So there's
Yes.
always this beautiful balance, and when we understand that, actually, is another law of the nature. Either we're growing or we're dying. So it's normal for you to want,
Yes.
and when you let yourself want and you go with for those bigger goals that really excite you, is when you're really living. This was great,
Yes.
Elizabeth. If you can share with us where we can find you, and of course I'm going to put the details here, but what are the ways that people can work with you?
Well, the best place to find me is on Instagram. So we can link that below.
Yeah.
And I do offer one-on-one coaching. I would just encourage someone to reach out to me individually and we can chat back and forth. I Because I like to work out something that works for that person. It's very individual. And I have a cookbook. I have two cookbooks that I've published. I have a journal, so I'll make sure we have links to those. But by the time this airs, who knows what else will be going on, but because we are both growing and expanding. Um, but yeah, Instagram is the best place to find me, and I'm there. I do lives like you almost every day. So much content, recipes, workouts, affirmations,
Yeah, I mean,
little
you're like I
things.
said, it's totally an empire. It's start an empire that is not only fitness, it's everything. And I love that holistic approach that you're taking. And I think all the women
Thank you.
that are you're reaching right now and that you will call in are the ones that are actually gonna with you are gonna help, are gonna change even the paradigm even more. So
Yes, it's exciting. There's more and more women like us who really desire great things and are going
yeah,
after them.
yes, it was so good to have you, Elizabeth. You are
This was
just
wonderful.
it was amazing. All right,
Wonderful.
ladies, we will see you in the next week, and thank you so much for tuning in.